Hey. Wow, this looks awesome. You see this? The ceiling, I mean, I'm just seeing it through the camera, but it's like the way the light is being... I'm trying to capture this then. Because I still have to put on more clothes. It's a bit chilly. We're heading towards winter and this is the area I don't heat. So just, you know, right? There are people who consciously choose not to heat their entire apartment. Just to have a bit of hardship in their lives. Or to save on resources, which is money, which is time. Wow, this was incredibly hard. Yo. What's going on? Yes, I'm making tea. You know, So you can take the time and make your own and then settle in for, right, whatever this is. But I first have to preheat the kettle, the teapot. Because I like to know that it's warm. Snugly in my hat. We're going to need green tea, the gunpowder variant. Okay, a hot cup of tea. Yeah, because I'm starting to do things different. Or I have done them already different for quite some time. But I'm again changing. What is he saying? He's so far away! Yeah, because I'm super conscious, my friend. Heightened awareness and stuff, you know? Which probably talks about an awareness from a larger height. There's a lot of moisture in here. A moistened bink. Just because some moistened bink threw his scimitar at him. You know, it's either this or being stuck in bed. So I'd rather keep the energy flowing because otherwise you just start to decay. And that's part of the chaos, of course. I have a severe dislike for drinking tea that cools down too fast. Oh wow, he's back again. Yes, my friend, he's back again. Okay, I think the first batch, there was this rule, 2 to 3 minutes. So I'm learning to make, 1 cup at a time or something, just to see if there's a difference, because then I can make a fresh cup, maybe 2 or 3, 4 times. And that's maybe different than just making a whole batch. Yeah, it's just another way of doing this. Okay, I think Apparently I have to keep the windows open because otherwise it's getting really moist in here. But now there's some kind of commotion. Okay, I've been looking at maps, which of course I could have just put them there to say, hey, I've been looking at maps. But I haven't. I have actually looked at maps. Because I'm looking for new routes. This is, that's supposed to motivate me. I mean, it's incredibly hard to leave the house in winter, especially when you are fond of being barefoot. Now, I'm still getting to this, let's warm up with breath work. I'll show you some crochet. I'll show you some... What else am I going to show you? I had an apple for breakfast. I woke up, I felt a bit meh. It's not always the case, but at least I had a good night's rest. I didn't want to get up because I still feel like, I don't know. It still feels a lot like rock bottom. And I still feel like, oh damn it. It's just, if you have been living on the edge for such a long time, and you feel like there's no stable income or something, I mean, there are certain things you feel like you need. So I have just ordered a kilo of Peruvian cacao, raw cacao, that comes in these drops, these pellets. Well, the difference to normal chocolate is that it hasn't been processed, because normal chocolate is being separated. So you have the bean and then you extract the oil from it, which requires a lot of heating, which destroys a lot of the naturally occurring things in there. And then you separate it into butter and powder, and then you mix it again according to however you want to sell it. But raw cacao is different. It's just the bean, and it is being ground. And then you can warm chocolate, and at 30 degrees it already starts melting, so you don't have to heat it further. Well, today's Monday again, Groundhog Day all my life, but I am making progress. I still feel like the masturbation tab is closed, which of course you may see as a shameful topic. Well, if you've been doing it so far, then what's the point of clinging to shame? Just stop. And if you're like me, you may not be able to stop right away with it. It may take you some time. Now, I'm kind of reluctant to show you the dream catcher. Why? Because it's actually quite intense. It should be something you do quietly, where you take the time to be creative. But if I push too many things into these videos, then I can't do it later. And that's a real problem I have. Because if you're basically almost never watching movies, almost never listening to music, then you have to fill your day with something, or your life. So you have to find practices and things also throughout the year that you enjoy doing. And that's of course connecting to the whole idea of discovering nature, where you live. So let's say you live close to the ocean, well, maybe you can collect algae. But then don't go around and tell everyone that you've been collecting algae, right? That's my idea. Because if everyone does it, you know, we're just gonna screw up the environment. You know, this is about also keeping some secrets. If you learn some secret places in the forest and you collect certain mushrooms there, you know, just keep it a secret, because whoever wants to find these places will find them. I think there's no use to guide people to the forest, not really. Because I think if you wanted to go into the forest, you'd go into the forest. You know, I wanted to go into the forest, I wanted to discover it on my own, and so I started doing it. Of course. Okay. Yeah, it's a very unceremonial jar. But it works for me. Oh wow, a bit watery. Well, like I said, I still have to... Oh, but that is good. Sometimes you can add a bit of warmth to you. And then immediately start having these shivers that just go throughout the entire body. And maybe for that you have to wake up and then have a part of your apartment that's kind of cold in winter. So you can wake up and be like, oh wow, it's really shivery, let's just drink some tea. Yeah, this is of course around it, so it stays hot longer. Because like I said, I like warm beverages to stay warm long. I've been working on Maximus Time. Wow, I feel really frozen in place. I mean, I'm on the fluffiest carpet this apartment has, which means that it's also the warmest to sit on. If I would change now, then I would lose the warmth that I'm building up for my feet and my knees, of course. This is one way of sitting. I'm not sure if this is good for meditation. I think it's better to switch postures. I just feel like if I sit in this attempt of a lotus seat, it's just very bad for your ankles. I mean, very bad. So you have to, I believe, you have to ask yourself if you want to be like a sitting thing or an actively moving, walking, working thing. That's just what I believe. I just get easily bored by just sitting around all the time. Okay, let's just do some crochet. I can't do too much. Why? Because I can't do it later then. What's the Mad Hatter talk? Yeah. I mean, this is already crazy to some people. To say as a man, I'm doing crochet, it's like, oh yeah? Are you gay? Do you know what kind of strength it takes to do crochet? Okay, because I feel very connected to water and always talking about that I feel like I'm living in water, like I am literally in Aquarius. Okay, now I have to count. Count to 10. Or was I at 30? So I am crocheting in rounds. It's basically a spiral. Quite nice, right? It's a spiral. Yeah. You start with a magic ring. I do one with 6 of these loopies. Stitch things. And then you just have to keep doubling, but not just double all the time. So first round you double all 6 of them, and then you've got 12, and then you only in the next round, so you have like a marking thread that you know when you come to the end of the round again. So the first time you start doubling all 6, then you've got 12, and then you double every second, and then you've got 18, and then you double every third, and so forth. So, and then you've got 24. So stitches in one round. That means that it grows, and you can make things to, you know, like a table thing or something. Or, I mean, this is not the shape that it normally should have. It should be flat. I don't know why it's like this, because I started crocheting, but I stopped at some point, so I couldn't remember exactly how many stitches there were, so I tried to count them, but I wasn't super sure. And then I continued, and now it's like this. But it's okay, because it's supposed to be a hack. And now I just keep, now I'm at doubling every 30th of these stitches. And so that's 6 times 30 in one round. That's how many stitches you have to do then. And then in the end, you know, I have my circumference of my head is maybe 58 centimeters. So if you aim for 58 or 57, you know, once this has a circumference of 57, you can stop, and then you simply keep on crocheting without adding anything. You just crochet until it has the length you wanted, right? And then it just becomes like a tube. Okay. Well, question, if there would be a woman here, would I still feel like having to order cacao? Well, possibly not, but there is none here, because they're all selfish or boring or too weak or too chicken to face a man or to make amends, because they actually really screwed up, and so they just run away. Why is he talking like this? Why can't he talk any different? And what's it to you, right? Oh, I'm at the beginning, of course. So I have to get my marking stitch. Ah, there it is. Marking thread. Okay, let's squat, because squatting makes you warmer. If somebody would knock now, I would just ignore them, by the way. You know, that's how devoted I am to not give a crap. Unless, of course, their knocking would be really severe, but, you know, I'm working. And I have to keep myself erect. Ah, I still have to know how many stitches there were, of course. This is sometimes a bit difficult, because it's hard to see. I think this is the double. It's just sometimes you just wish things were easier. I don't know, I have nothing in particular to say right now. I think I started here. Wow, why is it sometimes so hard to see this? And then sometimes it's super easy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Yeah. And because every time you double one of these things, it adds a little bump, because now there's 2 in 1. which means that you have to keep on crocheting. No, that's not what I'm saying. So now I start a new round, and the first round I didn't start and I just did 30, and then I doubled, and I did 30 and I doubled. I did 4, then I doubled, and then I did 30, I doubled, 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 and then I did 26 and doubled not. So this means that the place where you double always switches, which is also why I usually go to different places. You know, I don't always go to the same spot all the time over and over again, you know. I switch locations, you know, nice lead over. Okay, I want to get, you know, if you can sit comfortably in a squat, which I can. Right? Oh wow. How did he do that? Well, I mean, already this, you know, if that becomes easy, but I'm not gonna do that all the time. I'm just gonna get used to this, and I'm gonna get used to this. I don't have to get used to doing this. You know, I just get used to standing and to sitting. Just as I stop doing push-ups, I just hold planks in various positions because I want to be stable up here. I don't want to always push myself into this. I just want to hold planks. Push-ups are, to me, basically stupid. Wow. I mean, this is the hard thing. You have to work for feeling warm or being warm. It's just what I'm saying. Okay, what am I looking for? I just felt like I have... Okay, I'm still working on sorting out my apartment. I'm still working on Maximus time. Oh, wow. But yeah. I mean, we're really hitting winter now. And I still wish I had at least some kind of like a stable income. Because it just makes life... It does make it a bit easier, right? To feel like, oh wow, it actually works. Yeah, these trousers I made myself. They were too wide. They're still a bit too wide because I've been losing weight, but it's okay. I took out 2 to 3 centimeters, or maybe 4, on each side, stitched it together, and then down here I put in like rubber band. Also made them a bit shorter. Works for me. Okay, now 31. I don't know, I just feel like I'm just gonna do 1. So you add, this is a new round now, and now I have to remember the 31. And now I have to also look where most of the bumps are. So maybe I'll crochet until here. Or I just do the 31. If you feel like, you have to fart a lot, it's also a practice of self-containment to just keep the gas in and then carry it to the toilet, instead of just farting all the time. 1, right? I do count in my head, which is why it's super hard to talk. Or so I believe. Maybe it could be done, but I just prefer to 3, 4. So you see how this is basically teaching you patience. 5. Because now this is 5, but you have to get to 31, and that you have to do 6 times. 6. And then, of course, all the stuff that happens inside your mind. 7, 8, 9, 10. Plus, it puts a lot of strain on your hands, which then also trains them for acupressure. So if you learn how to do crochet, your hands get stronger. Plus, if you sit in a squat, you do training. But if you don't sit in a squat, right, you could sit in a, with crossed legs, but keep the, whatever you're working on up here. So you also train your shoulders. And we often say that fear is in the neck or something. So if you learn to have a strong neck and a strong back, then you're gonna live much smoother, yeah? So you'll never be screwed by Lex Luthor. Okay, this actually works. Keeps it warm much longer. Okay, I was at 10. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Now, while I'm doing this, I can in my mind already look for, okay, what do I still have to do? I can look for visions while I'm crocheting in silence, but even when I listen to an audiobook, I can look for visions just by loosely following what's being said and then picking up, what it triggers inside of me to hear what is being spoken about, even if it's, like a novel. I mean, I had a lot of great insights also with listening to Lord of the Rings. 16. 17. 18. 19. Yeah, I'm gonna do 2 more. 20. 21. And I'm gonna double this one. So now this is 21. And now you go into 21 again and do the same thing. And then you've got this one doubled. Now I didn't double it at what I have just explained because just to make it more smooth, I don't know, maybe. And now I have to just do the 31 until the end, and then it's gonna be 10 for the last section, and then no doubling, and then I'm at 32. So doing crochet can be incredibly revealing. Yeah, still thinking about what food to make today. Or maybe not today. I still have food. 7, 8, 9, 10. So this is like a pick-me-up talk if you don't get it. 10, okay. I know I'm a 10, just have to remember it. So you can even practice your memory. I basically keep most of the things just in my mind. I don't really write a lot of stuff down. Unless it's maybe a date. So I have fermented vegetables and I'm making sauerkraut. You know, I wrote that down because that would be hard to remember. But if it's things that like this, you know, I'll just, plus I can count it again. It's a bit harder if it comes to dates. So I also don't think that, I mean, maybe it's nice if you really remember the date where you and your wife got together. But then it's not so much about giving each other presents, but to just remember, wow, that's when we met. I don't actually know, not exactly. I don't have an exact date. So I can talk to you about soul connections, because maybe that's what we're all here for. That there are certain people that you find may still be important in your own future. Although you don't really see them, but there seems to be some kind of like a heart connection. It's just hard to understand, which is why it's maybe called a heart connection, because it's so hard to understand. And then you'll be singled out, maybe also by the people. Because if you're working hard, then everyone who's lazy will fall away. And who remains is literally who's been working hard. And everyone who told you to chill, you know, cheers. They're just gonna be gone. The only people that stay will be the ones who just, you know, started helping you with whatever work you've been doing. I think the frustrating part is, you know, that could be the frustrating part as a man or as a woman, that if you find someone and you'd say, you know, what's a soulmate? That sounds really, I think it's just you've broken through to something and you say, that's me, you know, like, know thyself. Now we're at the Matrix stuff again, it's probably quite important. You know, the know thyself thing. Once you know yourself and then you say, well, what does that mean? Well, you just have to scrape away at your surface, you know, without, it's just like taking mud away or something. The mud of past karma. So you have to do your sadhana until you have a realization, that's me. And that's what what Alan Watts described when he described these Zen koans, which in a way isn't supposed to be a secret to be given away, but at the same time, you know, just because you know how, as you know, the Reusch does the Zen thing, doesn't mean you have an advantage, because just knowing this, it's not an adequate prerequisite for passing the test. You know, I can tell you beforehand what you're gonna face. Once you're facing it, it's a different story. Because you're still facing the man, and he's gonna look at you, and if you think you know, you already lost, right? You have to let go in the moment and just do something that is uniquely you. It's not about just doing something stupid. It's to just do it, disregarding the consequences. But of course, like in this teacher-student relationship, you know, there are also boundaries, because it's not that you have the feeling of throwing a knife at your teacher and then you just do that. No. Because the consequence might be killing him. And then he's gone. And then you could say, well, then he wasn't true. Yeah. Well, maybe he truly believed that if one of his students wanted to take his life, you know, then who was he to stop him? Yeah, I'm just saying. So, in that sense, you have to envision the consequences of your actions, which is why at some stage of your life, you may sleep with a woman and you just feel complete. Then you have to know how you felt that moment, and then you have to stay true to this. So when I listen to, let's say, or I used to listen or may still listen to Meatloaf, who to me is a great artist, he says that he's still in love with this girl from back then. But then I say, you know, why then sleep with others? Why not just treasure this moment you had together or something? And just let it warm your heart. Because you may well call this then heaven, when you say, you know, I'm in love with you and I never love anyone else. Well, this is heaven and hell to a certain degree. So it's better to just learn how love feels and then find it in your life. So you can have, like the relationship Ramdas had with Maharaji, that even after he died, he was simply for him to acknowledge him, at least, as he who showed him what this feels like, this feeling, this place of love. The question, of course, is if Maharaji or Neem Karoli Baba was ever, you know, truly there. Because one may say that he took the LSD from Ramdas because he was slipping. He was running out of time, and so he took a chemical to help him with his meditation because he was just losing it. Or maybe he was just getting bored and he just wanted to spunk his experience a little. And then when Ramdas describes it, when Maharaji is getting like kind of like insane and doing weird stuff, I mean, nobody but him or the people who were there saw that. I can imagine. And then suddenly he's like, yeah, so what, man? And then everyone was like, haha, you know, I thought he would die. well, maybe a part of him did. I think he may have actually started losing his place. It's just hard to say. But there were other instances where he took things from people that Ramdas described in his recordings. And I still treasure these moments, but I feel I cannot learn from Ramdas any longer. It would even be hard to see him truly like a friend, because I simply would like to become my own man. And there are certain things that I feel like you simply have to let go along the way, which is to me like sugar, at least in the crystalline form. So, I can eat an apple and that should be enough sugar. But I'll refuse to eat cakes. But I can make cake with bananas. And that then to me is sweet enough. And if you fry like pancakes, banana pancakes, without extra sugar, you fry it in coconut fat, it has its own kind of a taste. And then you can go to the forest, you can collect berries, make jam yourself, cook it for some time, and then fill it into jars, seal them, and then keep that. You get used to a different kind of sweetness. You may get used to a woman that has her own kind of sweetness, because some women are more like walruses, like heavy and like different. And then some women are more like cats. They're a bit ferocious. You enter into them and they're gonna be like, ah! I'm just saying. Then there's gonna be women who want to press you into anal sex, and then there's gonna be women who say, no, never, this is only an exit. I don't necessarily think that anal sex is necessary. It could be interesting, but it seems to me like a dead end. But it also seems to me like, it's never really that clean. You can cleanse yourself, of course, and then you're empty. And I do get it, why people could like it, because they say it's so super tight. But if you're a woman, I say you're a woman because then I'd be her man, right? If you're a woman, because in a sense we have to claim each other. You have to say, she's mine and I'm hers, kind of like this. It's a bit like ownership. So, because yes, freedom is super nice, but if I would be completely free, then you'd never see me again, because then I'd be dead. Because death is liberation, is freedom, it's the moving on, it's the, the ultimate letting go. So we choose to still be here. But why we are still here, we have to ask ourselves how we would like our life to be like. Right? That's a conscious question that we have to work with. But it's not just about how would I be like, it's about, okay, what have I been missing and how do I need to become to be the way I feel I actually am or should be? And if I hadn't been screwed around with so much, tampered with, being fed sugar and all that stuff, then how could I be like? And I still feel like people are trying to deceive me. Like women trying to act like they are the one that I want, well, I have already chosen. And that's a hard choice, because if there are other women offering themselves to you, and you say, yeah, but I've already chosen, it's like, why don't they get that? Because they're all selfish. You know, why don't they get that? I have already chosen a woman. Like, literally. But if I would just be with other women now, then if she would come, I would have no time. So I have to also save time, so that if she would come, you know, I'm here to give stability to her. But if there would be 5 other women in here, how should we ever have the time to, you know, start our own family? So my job was basically keeping people out. Because trust me, there were people trying to get here. But, you know, I'm already doing once a week cleaning. How often do you have to clean if you have constant visitors? It's just the way they look at your things, right? It just leaves stains. They come in here and they look for things like they actually want to judge them. I mean, I have had people in here, and every time I pay close attention to the vibe, you know, because they think you don't see them, but I see them. You know, I see their spirit wiggling around. And then you look at them and you observe them, you're like, what are you on about? Like, you're trying to look for things, trying to look for clues. Like, what do you want? Just build your own life, you know? What makes my life so special? Just because I spend a lot of time figuring myself out? Now you want to look for clues? What do you hope to find? And then they look at things and then they want to say stuff about things, like, just say nothing. It's disrespectful. Anything you say, you know, I'm not gonna, just stay silent. Yeah, first line of defense, zip it. Zip it. It's one of the hardest things in the world. Trust me on that one. I'm still trying to understand when I should talk, and then also what I should say. I already know now at least how to keep some secrets from others, because I learned at some point that most of the people that I have met were just using information they got from me to just give me trouble. And you can ask yourself why they're doing this. Well, it's like the wife not taking care of her husband, although the husband is the one who's been providing for the family, and the wife just slouches off on that. And that's why a lot of women would want me, because, you know, I could sit here, hold the space, and then they could have a good time, you know, let go, like, ah. But that's not my life. It's not my way of life. It's not what I want. I want a woman who's actively engaging with me, but also actively engaging with her surroundings. It doesn't actually mean that she has to go and talk to every stranger she finds. It just means that she sees what she needs to do and then she does it. But that of course also means, as a man, then maybe you just have to let go of control, you know? I cannot control you. Well, if a woman was overly open to touching everyone all the time and hugging everyone all the time, then you can probably count on it that I'd be less inclined to be private with her. Which is why, if she has such notions, she may as well stay away, for all I care. Because what I know, what I wanted, is simply a woman that wants me. and nobody else. And if that doesn't exist, then I'll just stay alone. And I could do that. You know, eternity is possible, but for that you have to have a goal. I mean, eternity, you know, stretches itself out, of course, and then it ends. You know, it's like what the heart does. What time does, you know, the day stretches itself out and then it's over. So there are simply things, but you can still refuse to choose any other woman. You just say, well, the one I would have chosen was no good. So, you know, there's no then better luck next time. All that's left is, okay, I'll just stay alone then. Because if you've tried 14 times, you just say, yeah, you know, that could have been it. You know, I was almost sure, but it wasn't it, so I'll just stay by myself. And then maybe it comes back, right? Maybe that's, you know, if you love her, you have to let her go. It's like, what's that kind of a point? I really don't get it. Like, where's the devotion? Shouldn't also a man be devoted to his woman and a woman be devoted to her man? Or are we simply here like princes and princesses and you just have to do the deed, you know, and keep the line of ancestors from dying out? You know, is that what it's about? You know, am I all mistaken about all this, you know, to actually feel like you want to spend time with someone and then also devote yourself to this kind of a relationship? Because what I believe is, no matter what you want to do later, I think there should be trust between a man and a woman. And for that, they have to make experiences with each other. They have to open up to each other. They have to get to know each other. And then when they have their own family, you know. But I don't know. I just don't want to lead a life that ends into further separating from each other. So if that's the case, then why choose to be together at all, you know? I don't know, that's just my idea. I'd like then my wife to want to be with me. I wouldn't want to force her to be with me, but if she would want to be with me, then there are certain things that I simply say. And maybe that's where I'm really mistaken. Maybe I just shouldn't have a wife. It's like the whole Ragnar Lothbrok Vikings thing, you know. Well, he was with Lagerthar and then he chose to be with this other one who actually gave him children. But he already had a son, but he wanted more. And in a way I got that. And then everything kind of split apart. And the story just got weirder and weirder. So I simply believe that if it's not part of your life that there's gonna be a woman that can just say, hey, I just love that guy and I just want to be with him for the rest of my life and I don't care what he does, I just want to be a part of it. You know, if that's not in the book, then I'll just stay by myself. And that's a tough road to walk also. But at least then I have the freedom to just, you know, keep on doing what I'm doing. Because either there's a woman that can support this or there's not. Then the question is, how could you support your woman? Well, you know, I'm doing a lot of stuff that I find important. So she should find that important. And then the question is, okay, what finds she important? Well, maybe she just finds it important to support me. I mean, there are women like this. This is not condescension. This is simply looking at also what exists. There are women who are like this, who would just add themselves to the life of the man. There are women like this, and that exists. So I said that's what I want for my life. I have chosen a woman, but, you know, I feel her, but I never see her. So now I, of course, could choose a different wife, because I say, well, that was the wrong one, but I just don't believe in divorce. You know, I just don't want to go through all these things again. And I don't want to choose the easy road ever. So maybe that's what you're being guided to do then, by simply having a woman that's the greatest challenge. So how would, I mean, of course it's just a story, but it doesn't matter, because there's a lot of truth in stories, or these perspectives, you know, what's truth? It's a perspective, it always changes. Like, you can find truth in a society, and then you say, oh wow, it's so terrible. But that's just one perspective, you know, all the industrialization and, you know, people using these high pressure water things to clean stuff because they're too lazy to, you know, scrape with like some kind of a brush. So I believe in hard work. So the woman should believe in hard work, which then means that maybe I'm completely mistaken about making certain choices. Maybe I cannot choose the woman. Maybe I was mistaken. Maybe I just was looking for something better. But maybe life gave me something already. You know, that's also a tough choice to make. I just don't get this. You know, trying to accept, you know, like some kind of an acceptance. In the end, maybe you'd be so happy that there's at least any kind of a woman. But there's just certain women where I just say, yeah, no. But I don't know who that is anymore. That's just super weird. It's just super weird. Just don't get this at all. It's just a mystery to me. I think I just said I lost interest in women. But you can't help that, right? Plus you don't like people making choices for you. And so maybe you simply have to stick with your own choices, because my own choices were usually the best ones for me. Because I knew at least I had made them myself. Which is why I let go of sugar while everyone else still eats it. And even talk themselves into having to eat it. And I just say, yeah, I just stopped. It's just super hard. This whole choice thing, I mean. So now you're in the position of Ragnar Lothbrok. We just follow the story. And he was with this beautiful woman. Everybody thought, oh wow, you know, having her would be a great feast. Yeah, but he wanted to have some kind of a claim to the throne. So he just marries someone else, suddenly has 2 wives. And then Lagathor goes nuts. Well, this is basically it. I mean, he just wanted a woman of godly descent or something. And he may not even have had a choice in that. I mean, that's like telling Achilles to stop what he's doing. He's gonna be like, what are you talking about? He just did what he wanted. And in the end, he got what he wanted. He called that immortality. It's of course not immortality, it's just a spasm. Because it's gonna be over at some point. Whatever he created, people are going to forget. I mean, his name still carries a lot of meaning, but few lack the experiential capacity to understand what it really meant to be like Achilles. I can imagine, because I've been doing a lot of barefoot hiking, plus I'm training things. I'm not training with weapons, but to me, doing stuff like this, this is not super it's hard to do it with this, but you just know what I'm talking about. Doing certain movements, moving, and then I can imagine being a warrior. Because if you're a warrior, you also have to react to the times. And right now it's more like being like this, being super zen, because we're also in the Aquarius age. There are like, now you're born as an Aquarius, but there are also like ages or something. Like the whole world goes through the same cycle as the zodiacs. Which is, there are times, now it's more like flow and water and back to Atlantis. I can feel places like Atlantis in myself. And I can draw from remembering how ancient civilizations used to be. It's just hard to imagine everyone being like this. So I'm simply looking for free spirits that do well on their own, that can choose, this man, this woman, whatever, and that are devoted at the very least. They have to be devoted, and they have to be kind of like renunciates. They have to probably lead a life of seclusion, and they have to have, like the Spartan 300 thing. What is your profession, Oh. This transcends the, what is your profession, Arcadian? I'm a blacksmith. Yeah, but what kind of a blacksmith? You can be a blacksmith, and you can be a blacksmith warrior. Nobody was forcing William Turner Jr. or William Turner. Nobody was forcing him to practice with the swords. He did this in and out of himself. Because he maybe technically was preparing himself to become the next Davy Jones, yeah? Passing on souls to the other side, which you could say shamans do. And in a sense, you can say I'm doing that because I live between two worlds, and that's what a good yogi must do, because he's between the light and the shadow. He is beyond this is black and this is white. He sees it as one thing, which is why, sure, if I wake up and I feel I'm starting to decay, I'm like, then I have to know what to do. You watch this, you think, is he high or something? Is he like, what is he? He feels like, yeah. How do you think a bull feels like if you know, a bull doesn't masturbate? I mean, sure, he could find some kind of a... But he's surrounded by cows. Why should he ever masturbate? But as a man, you can literally... I mean, you just keep it all bottled up inside. You're jacked up. People don't know this anymore, how this feels like, to be jacked up. Because if they don't masturbate, then their energy goes into, you know, all these things like Spotify accounts, Netflix accounts, watching too many videos. So you rather support something in this virtual reality than building yourself a life. So it's better to be a creator and just start creating. But not everyone wants that. But I simply realized I wasn't okay with just the village life. Which is why I looked for a spiritual wife. But a spiritual wife may also be then a great challenge. You know, you can do things like this while recording podcast episodes. So I'm also learning to change. I mean, my camera is propped up. My microphone is propped up on a tripod, which is why I could do recordings there and stand. So I do 2-hour podcast episodes, podcast, which is me standing for 2 hours and talking. And then after I'm done, I do another. So I first do German, then I do English. And then I'm still working on my book. So the dream catcher, I mean, you just have to do this by yourself, my friend. I'm not gonna do this in front of you, just as I'm not gonna film myself taking a shower or using the restroom. So what you have to understand about a yogi or a Reusch or a master or a teacher is that if he's light and shadow at the same time, then what does it mean to be enlightened? He's not gonna be like, oh, yeah? He's never gonna be like that. He's gonna have a part that is a bit scary. Because he's gonna have a massive shadow. Because you have to get to know your shadow. And this is how creation works. And that's how you stay in the middle. You're both. You're black and white. Which is why I can be super cheery, but I can also, that's why, you know, I dress the way I dress. So masculine energy, if you want to be a man, if you want to be balanced, you have to be, you know, darkness and light at the same time. And I can still try to be super cheerful because you're also sensitive and you're also afraid of everything. I mean, you're afraid of your own shadow, my friend. What am I supposed to say to you? You know, I have looked at my shadow. I have witnessed my own shadow trying to devour myself. But I also have seen my light trying to burn away my shadow. But in order to be alive and lead a life that is worth living, like the warrior that I believe we all actually are, then you have to bring it together. Schnappa! Yeah? And then you can be like an opera singer. Wow! And just practice and then keep on learning. Just keep on progressing and spend time with yourself, right? I mean, I'm just saying, this would be a movement. You have a sword in your hand. I'm just saying, these are not the times for this. So you just have to be peaceful. So you should start doing these things out of yourself, not because you think I'd want you to do this. So if you want to make dream catchers yourself, you just go somewhere, you respectfully approach a tree that has like thin, easily bendable branches, maybe with some fresh shoots here, and you just twist it into, and I used wire to close this, and then you just keep it, and then at some point, of course, I have to still cut this off here, and then you take something, you can even put something around this, right? You can take this, twist it around it. I mean, you can work with metals because it's basically conducting energy, it's passing energy through, it's a dream catcher. And if you consider this as Maya and active dreaming, then you simply try to keep your space clean from bad dreams. Which is something I keep on having more often again, but that's okay. Yeah, and then you just make a pattern. You can make patterns like spirals. I have already shown you the ones I did. I did like a spiral. I first did like a mesh with wire, and then I added rings and stuff. You just work with the materials you have, which is why there's probably lots and lots of inspirational content on how to make, on how to do crochet and how to do this. I'm here more for the spiritual stuff, which is why I'm not so much the worldly kind of guy, which is why I can love women without having to want to be with them. That's just what I'm saying. There are women which are more worldly, and then I'll just pass you on to some other guy. And that's just from what you get from knowing yourself. I know myself. I know how I am around weaklings. And I know who I could lead a life with. It's just strong people of the warrior kind who push through and also know how to seize an opportunity. That's not seizing an opportunity to sleep around or escape from something. Because if yoga is the path of also devotion, because you have to be devoted, because yoga is life, right? So you have to be devoted. And then they say, yeah, but if the Buddha was enlightened, then why did he choose a wife? Because there is nothing if you're just in the light. You have to surround yourself with shadow. It's just what I'm saying. What you see is just my shadow. It's something I cast onto the camera. This thing will never capture my light. This is only capturing the shadow. Which is why you at home have to experience what light feels like. Because if you only look at this outside stuff, then you never get the light. You only get the shadow. You don't get the light from this. You just get an inspiration. You may get a feeling of, oh wow, that's how you can be. But you have to figure out who you are and not try to be like me. Because that would be a terrible investment. You'd just be phony. But why is nobody listening to me? I thought I was true. Yeah, not really. But I was trying to be like him, I got the same clothes. Yeah. So what? You know, everyone does that. You're just trying to turn me into some kind of a brand. But I'm not that, you know. This is self-expression. You know, I worked on this myself. I don't buy specific trousers. They were given to me and they were too big. So I changed them. You know, I'm just saying. So what? You want to just mimic me? You want to mimic what I went through years of, so you'll just mimic the surface. You'll just mimic what you see and not what I feel. You cannot mimic what I feel because that's my life. That's everything I've gone through, everything I've suffered through. You know, every moment I prepare myself to do a recording because I know when I hit the button and it starts recording, you know, I have to also, you know, no, I'm not like this when I'm alone in the room. Because I'm not looking into a camera, I'm not filming myself, so you have to be aware of that. So, you just have to know the difference between the you when you're alone and the you also amongst other people. And then you learn to be step by step more and more true. And you should simply learn also to shut out certain people. To just give everyone the amount of attention they actually need or deserve. Like your child maybe needs more attention. Certain children maybe need more attention. But you shouldn't give more attention just because you pity the child. No, you should just be there as a parent. And be active and observant and present. And that's then your gift to your children. Hey, I'm still here, right? I mean, what are you complaining about? What? This is already an hour 23? How do I get to these places? 1 hour 23 minutes later. He just realized that it is supposedly 1 hour and 23 later. It felt more like 40 minutes. Okay, what do I still have to do today? I feel like going to nature. Doing my nature recordings. Just to get it also a bit out of the way. Plus I haven't been in nature for some time. So reading Peter Pan. Of course now it's getting colder. It's clearly gonna be a challenge to sit around. There was actual frost this morning. But now it's getting better. I also sitting here on a carpet, you know, you're warming up a little. Also moving then while sitting, you know, squatting, you just have to keep on practicing. Winter is supposed to be hard because it sorts out the weaklings. But because society is the way it is, it doesn't do that anymore. Which is why, you know, there's like 90% weaklings. But they all survive and they have children. But they're all weak. And that's a real problem. Which is why they never will even consider trying to figure themselves out because they're just weak. You know, and they're being kept alive and they can propagate despite the fact that they're all sick and weak. And then that's why humans have become weak. And that's just what I'm saying. You have to harden yourself and strengthen yourself. And in my case, I was probably looking for a woman that is serious and knows how to focus and also quite stern. Like, I wasn't looking for a woman that's just looking for a good time. You know, I was looking for a woman who knows what suffering feels like, who has been struggling all her life, basically, and who would then, in the end, have a sense of appreciation and gratefulness if she could have a stable marriage or something. You know, because that's basically how I feel like. You know, I was being pushed around all my life by all kinds of people, never taken serious. So I started taking myself serious. My life, my needs, that's who I am, that's what I want. And so I clearly distinguish myself also in terms of creating content. I know what kind of content I want to create, I feel like I need to create. I rather do this than to show you how to make a dream catcher. I'll just tell you that I made a dream catcher and I show you that I made it. I mean, you have seen it hanging around here, but I don't have to show you how I made it. It's enough that I made it and you can believe it or not, but whether I did it should be irrelevant to you, because in the end, if you feel like, oh wow, that's a good idea, you should just do it yourself. And then it's not to make it exactly the way I did it, it's to look at what you have available at the moment and then just make a dream catcher out of it. So if you have some kind of a hemp rope, you know, you can make even thicker rope yourself by just learning how to braid it. Well, I don't know how to braid. Well, look at a video and do it. Or ask someone you know can do it and ask them to teach you. It's a method, you know. So I don't have to make content other people did. I just have to make the content I feel like making. And that's then why you know you can continue doing this, because you'll always stay true to yourself. Right? So it's like this knife. I cannot say it. It's probably still a work in progress. But it could also stay like this, you know? It's actually, you can close it, but I don't want to do that, because I wouldn't know how to make a handle. I would have to glue it. I don't have like some kind of super glue, so I can just keep it like this. And now what I could do is put some rope around it, add some wax to it, and I have a proper knife, and then it would maybe even stay shut, you know, that could be a possibility. Just put something around it. Or I could just do all kinds of other things, or I just keep it like this and just say, hey, you know, I can use this, works for me. And maybe it's just nice. I mean, this is already crazy to some people. I find this normal. Because it's also about focus and attention and having a feeling. Doesn't mean I'm, you know, you cannot let me lose. Doesn't mean that I'm gonna run around and harm people, because I have no interest in doing that, because it's just too troublesome. No, I don't want to face all these kinds of troubles. So I just stick to myself. I'm creative. I work hard. And I try to find a way out of my own misery, depression, whatever. And I'm trying to be, you know, simply a man that can lead a good life. Hey! You know. So yeah, life is supposed to be struggle. If you don't struggle, then you're not living properly. So I simply want to, right, live properly. So why do you think people became good with knives? Because they worked a lot with knives. And they weighed them in their hands, you know, like a samurai with a sword, he probably spends a lot of time honing his skills, knowing the weight of the sword, you know, so he can move it in all kinds of ways. So you can learn, oh yeah, that's something I want to do. I want to look for a long stick. So I'm going to cut a tree, take the wood home and make my own bow staff. That's clearly something I want to do. Because I'm just saying, you know. Whoa. So people can say then, well, that's crazy. Why is he doing these things? Well, because he got sick of feeling bored. He just rather, you know, tests his abilities a little. Because it's just nice to learn the skill. So if you find a woman that feels like, you know, like the jagged edge of a knife, and you're a bit like me, you'll say, I'll hold on to you, you know, because I know you can hurt me. Because I know you can hurt me. Why do you think I go hiking barefoot, my friend? Because I know it's simply a greater challenge. So sorry if you're not the challenge I wanted as a woman, you know. I already picked it. So such women are often also have been hurt a lot. Or they have like a massive shadow. Well, I'm a great pacifier, but I have to want to pacify you. Okay, but you can also clearly see I'm not an idiot. I mean, this is not some kind of a samurai sword. It's kind of a blunt edge, right? I'm just saying. This is not super sharp. I wouldn't do this if this were super sharp. Or maybe I would. Because, but yeah, I mean, I can touch it like this and nothing happens. If this were super sharp, I'm just saying. You know, can he really show this to people? Is this still child friendly? Well, I don't know, right? I just don't know. You know, people are super sensitive, but this may not count as child friendly. But, you know, who's gonna see that? So maybe I'm just gonna take it out. I'm just gonna blur it out, the whole scene. I have done that before, right? Okay. I can just say cheers. Gotta push myself out of the house. At least now I know what the weather is like. I cannot do really giant hikes at the moment. Oh wow, but there is this one. Yeah, okay. So I of course could also do this tomorrow. And today I could also do the yoga session. What else is there to do? I could do the art video. But yeah, this is my Monday. I don't know, I could do all kinds of things. At least when it's cold, you know, you have to keep warming yourself up. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the weather is going to be like tomorrow. Yeah, I'll figure it out. I'm not going to say it now because then I feel inclined to do something I may not feel like doing, and if I don't then do it, I feel a bit stupid. So sometimes you simply have to wait until you know exactly what to do. Okay, gotta push yourself through. That's, I think, what I'm trying to say. Cheers.